Hey folks, welcome back to the Bulletproof Garage in Project Brutus. Scott Walters here, and I'm in need of some help. Let me explain. What I have right here is the extension housing or a tail housing for a ZF5 four-wheel drive transmission. That's what I've got for Brutus. Now the transmission itself is in a million pieces. All right, I'm in a process of rebuilding it. Now the extension housing, when I cleaned it up, I noticed that it had a crack. And then I took it to a shop to get it welded up. And that's where the fun started. All right, let's zoom in and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay folks, one thing that should jump out at you is this weld right here, all right? So that is what I had repaired. There was a crack there. I brought it to a shop local to me here in Northern Virginia, and they TIG welded it, all right? And all was fine for about half an hour. And then when I got it back home, I noticed that there was a crack, all right? And the crack is where the arrows are. It's a few inches long, all right? And the problem is that it goes all the way through and fluid does leak through. So I really can't leave it as is. So, and on the inside, so you can see here where the repair was done inside and out, but again, the crack is all the way through right there. Now, I don't think it was cracked like that when I brought it to the shop. I suspect is what happened is once they put the weld on here and put some heat in the casting, you know, maybe they didn't preheat it, but I believe that that crack happened after they welded it. So I've got options, but before we talk about options, let's talk about the implications. One, you cannot swap this out while the transmission is in the truck. You can't unbolt it and pull it out. Why? Because the shift rails sit in here and they're held in place by a plate that's bolted in. So the only way to disassemble the transmission to remove this is to sit the transmission on its tail here and then pull the case off of the tail housing or extension housing, and the main shaft is still sitting in here as well as the counter shaft sitting in here. All right. And so it's not easy to fix once it's been installed. And don't forget, this is a big, heavy transmission, and it's got a big, heavy transfer case hanging off of it as well. Just not real excited about the possibility of having to do this again in the not too distant future. All right, so my courses of action, of course, one would be leave it as is, cross fingers and hope. Not a real valid course of action, in my opinion. Two, slightly better, JB weld it and wish for the best, all right? That kind of makes me nervous there as well. Option three, and in the military, this is what we call a throwaway option. Take it back to the shop who did it and ask them to do it right this time. You know what, folks? If they weren't able to fix it correctly the first time, I don't have full faith and confidence in their ability to fix it right the second time, all right? Next option, find somebody local to me or maybe mail it off somewhere to a competent TIG welder. You know, I am in Northern Virginia. I looked around. I didn't find anybody. I went to one shop that when I got there, they said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't TIG weld. I'm sure there are competent TIG welders around here, just haven't found any yet, all right? Other option is to source a new or used tail housing that's not cracked. The problem with that is these are hard to find. I suspect it's because they often crack, all right? And when you do find one, folks are real proud of them, all right? So I haven't found a reasonably priced one that really, you know, that I said, hey, that's in my price range. So I'm going to throw it back out to y'all for your recommendations and thoughts on how you would proceed here. And I'd sure love to hear from you. So just post up a comment, a recommendation, a thought, offers of encouragement. I'll take anything at this point. And we'll see if we can't figure this out collectively. All right, folks, as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on the Bulletproof Garage.